For some reason, whatever I touch, I break.
What do you think of the fight with Devin, man? What's gonna happen?
I think it's gonna be a great fight while it lasts.
While it lasts.
Look,
Tell me about that. Why
Why
are you thinking knockout?
Look, I got bricks for hands. The first punch I landed on Jisasaki, he dropped.
And did you hear the narrative has been that Turkey doesn't like running, which anything that Turkey doesn't like, I like it too. You see what I'm saying? So if there's no running, then guess what? There'll be no running. But you know what, Quinn? The one thing about Devin Haney,
you don't want it with Norman after what happened to Devin with Ryan. You don't want those problems. You don't want that permanent damage on your son yet. He gotta get his confidence up before he could get in the ring with that brick hand that Norman got. You don't want that for your son yet. Let's keep it real.
Bill Haney and Brian Norman Jr. had a very heated argument on Live as they've started building up to the November fight between Devin Haney and Brian Norman Jr. Of course, when Bill Haney gets into a verbal battle with anyone, it's as good as Devin Haney being involved, as Bill Haney is Devin's unofficial spokesman.
What I've been doing is telling you guys that this guy has a left hook from hell. He put him in the hospital. He forgot 2 months of his life. And no, he did. No, you didn't hear about that?
He forgot he cheated on his wife.
The live session was an extension of an argument that ensued on X, formerly Twitter. Bill Haney had earlier posted, "I'm on my job looking for this tough guy, Brian Norman Jr. If you see him or his dad, tell them Devin Haney is looking for him." In response, Brian Norman Jr. reacted, "You don't have to look for nobody. I'll pull up on y'all." Ever since then, there was nothing, and we only heard about the fight agreement and sorts until Bill Haney responded to Norman's tweet yesterday, "Then join me on Live." When the live call happened, Bill Haney called him out and told him Devin was going to make him the 33rd. By this, he meant the 33rd opponent that he'll defeat in the boxing ring. On the other hand, Brian Norman Jr. replied, "I'll be his first instead," insinuating that he'll give Devin his first loss instead.
The first punch. So I don't know what's going on. I want to say big shout out to Grant Boxing. They got the best boxing gloves out there because I'm out here hurting folks. You feel me? I got rocks in these gloves. So for some reason, whatever I touch, I break.
The pair kept firing shots at each other. And as Bill Haney sent him errands to his father, Brian Norman Jr. also sent Bill errands to his son. Before the live call went off, Bill Haney had the last words, "We'd end you before you begin to shine. Devin will treat you like the last champion he fought." This was definitely an allusion to his fight against Regis Prograis, where Devin Haney completely outboxed and outclassed Prograis by defeating him in all 12 rounds to snatch his 140-pound junior welterweight world championship from him.
So what's the one thing you think Devin does well that's going to be a challenge for you?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. So what's the one thing you think that will be a challenge for him to deal with you?
I say everything. I'm a whole complete fighter out here. Give me whatever you think your best is.
WBO welterweight champion Brian Norman Jr. and former two-division champion Devin Haney are on a collision course. Norman and Haney reportedly verbally agreed to fight later this year. Norman versus Haney is being targeted for November, according to Boxing Scene. No location is finalized. Norman is reportedly interested in booking the fight at welterweight without a catchweight or next-day weigh-in limit. Added Norman's manager, Adrian Clark, fueled the reports by cryptically tweeting that the ball is rolling. Norman grew his profile with a fifth-round knockout of Jin Sasaki. Haney is slowly repairing his image after an overturned loss to Ryan Garcia and a tepid win over Jose Ramirez. Interestingly, Bill Haney hasn't only fired shots at Brian Norman Jr., but even his nonagenarian promoter Bob Arum has received some words too.
Everything will happen in due time. As you see, you start to pay attention to it. Everybody else start to pay attention to it. So if I got to put somebody to sleep just to wake y'all up, I will do that. So 24 years old. The future is very bright. I'm still doing.
Top-rank boss Bob Arum is never at a loss for words. And at 93, the Hall of Fame promoter can still fire a formidable fastball. On Monday, a day after it was announced that his WBO welterweight champion, Brian Norman Jr., would defend the title against Devin Haney in November in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Arum pitched the promotion's first punch on social media. "We look forward to working with our friend, His Excellency Turki Alalshik, as the best welterweight in the world, Brian Norman Jr. defends his WBO title this November in Riyadh against track star Devin Haney," said Arum. Once Haney got wind of Aram's comment, he jabbed back at his former promoter by hitting a soft spot around Top Rank's expiring ESPN deal. Shouldn't this guy be worried about the fact he blew $90 million from ESPN and now has no TV deal? Said Haney.
Times Square fights really didn't make very much sense because they were all built up as one step with the next step already talked about.
Haney's father, trainer, and manager Bill also joined the party. Bob's senile, running his mouth and forgetting he's no longer in charge, said Bill. Devin Haney ran to give Brian Norman the biggest fight of his career, while ESPN ran away from doing business with Top Rank. Is ESPN the real track stars running from Bob and his smoke and mirrors? The former two-division champion Haney's stock has taken a hit in the court of public opinion following a unanimous decision win against Jose Ramirez in May. During the fight, Haney primarily circled Ramirez and rarely engaged as he landed just 70 punches in the 12-round fight.
He didn't have to look for long, so that was
Bill put it up everywhere. Bill gonna be at your doorstep.
Bill everywhere. Bill is doing what Bill does.
Following the dull dance, Aram told the ring that Haney looked gun-shy in a terrible performance in what was his first right back since the controversial clash against Ryan Garcia. The fight was also one of several high-profile, lackluster affairs in recent weeks that prompted Alalshik to call for an end to Tom and Jerry-type tilts. Norman, meanwhile, will be coming into the Haney clash hot off a fifth-round knockout of the year contender last month in Japan against Jin Sasaki. The youngest male champion in the sport also knocked out Derek Cuevas in 3 rounds in March. Even if he's gun-shy or whatever, you could never fault Haney's heart, Norman told the ring a day after the fight was announced.
Listen, your son need help tonight, not the other night. Your son needs help tonight, you earth man. Your son needs help tonight. Your daughter needs help tonight, you earth man. Do not campaign. Everybody needs, listen, my son needs.
Why does he need to fight me? I just came off the biggest knockout of my career, possibly the knockout of the year. My momentum is going high. Why does he need to fight me? So no matter what, I know he got heart. He got dog in him. Even in the Ryan Garcia fight, he was still stepping to Ryan Garcia. He wasn't boxing, he was going at him. So we can never fault his heart. We can never fault his determination. So that's why I just gotta work 1,000,000 times harder. Devin Haney was once highly praised for his boxing skills. After having trained under Floyd Mayweather Sr., many saw him as the next Money Mayweather. And rightfully so, he defeated the likes of Yuriorkis Gamboa, Jorge Linares, Vasyl Lomachenko, George Kambosos Jr., and others. However, since Ryan Garcia entered his life, things haven't been going so well for the 26-year-old.
I said I'm on my way. I'm coming to Brooklyn, and I'm looking for T.O. and the senior, and I'm going to see what you're scared of.
After suffering the worst beatdown of his career, Haney might have been able to get his zero back, but his reputation has a big old question mark in front of it after the April 2024 bout. And things just got worse on May 2nd when he entered the ring against Jose Ramirez. Despite securing a unanimous decision win, his over-the-top lateral movement, also known as running strategy, made him public enemy number 1. Even his luck has left his corner, as Garcia suffered an upset loss to Rolando Romero, effectively postponing their highly anticipated rematch. Later, a nearly finalized deal with Teofimo Lopez for a fight too fell apart. Now he has finally secured a fight against Brian Norman Jr., but even then, criticism seems to be haunting the dream.
Haney put on the Ryan put on the as well, but Haney was supposed to be going back to the drawing board, getting better. Did you think he got better? Absolutely not.
To the team, all that stuff.
Just because you add a Hall of Famer to your team don't make it's gonna make you better. I promise you that.
Brian Norman Jr. versus Devin Haney is official, acknowledged former welterweight world champion Timothy Bradley, a well-known Haney critic. Recently, GEA chairman His Excellency Turki Alalshik confirmed that Haney will fight Norman Jr. in November 2025 in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia for the latter's WBO strap. Regardless, Bradley continued his insult of the former undisputed lightweight champion. I just got off Craigslist, man. Sparring partners are going to be cheap for this fight. Man, get you about 3 or 4 chickens, $25 a piece, he added bluntly. But why chickens? You're gonna need to chase some chickens around if you're gonna catch Devin Haney. My gosh, that boy's going to be all moving around all around the ring. Bradley continued his diatribe.
They told me Haney trying to come down to 140.
Well, nah, he don't want to come back and do that.
Wait,
you know, ever since I became champion, Haney got the out of there.
That's it. Now, Bill, wait, hold up, Bill, before you answer, Bill.
I'll tell you one thing, I was on vacation, and now I'm back working.
He's going to be all on the top ropes. You ain't gonna need no humans. You're gonna need some chickens. That boy is fast. His feet are fast. Putting aside Bradley's digs at Haney, the boxing veteran was not happy about Haney's performance in May either, as he described being underwhelmed, pissed off, and insulted after watching the bout. However, Bradley isn't alone in throwing insults at the former World Boxing Council champion. Top-rank boss Bob Arum, who is also Brian Norman Jr.'s promoter, recently took a jab at Devin Haney. Addressing the November fight between Haney and Norman Jr., the veteran promoter referred to Haney as a track star.
It's official, baby. It's official. Brian Norman Jr., you saw it. Yep, I believe it was Mike Coppinger put it out. Brian Norman Jr., Devin Haney is official. Man, I'm about to tell you right now, Brian.
The remark didn't go unanswered. Haney fired back, mocking Top Rank's ongoing broadcasting challenges. Having said that, everyone seems to be taking digs at Devin Haney after he managed to secure the Brian Norman Jr. fight. While the Haneys haven't responded to Timothy Bradley's taunts, considering their counterattack of Bob Arum, a retort might not be far away. With unified welterweight champion Jaron Boots Ennis moved onto the junior middleweight division and Teofimo Lopez Jr. withdrawing from negotiations, Devin Haney and his manager-trainer father, Bill Haney, are now targeting WBO welterweight champion Brian Norman Jr.
Boots got hit.
Brian Norman's father.
When he said that.
Yo, Brian Norman not good.
They just been in it. They just building themselves up off of Boots, man.
Good, yo.
He know what happened when he came to the gym. You know what I mean? So we don't.
In a Tuesday conversation with Boxing Scene, the elder Haney said he's confident he can secure a deal that will pay Norman $28, zero more than what he wanted to fight Ennis last year to strike a showdown between his unbeaten two-division champion son and Norman. We've made it clear it's Devin Haney versus everybody, and Brian Norman Jr. is on that list, Bill Haney said. You guys, Team Norman, said that you wanted more to fight Ennis. Well, guess what? We know what your more is, and if you want to fight Devin the Dream Haney, then you can get that next. Georgia's Norman, 24, is coming off a sensational Thursday showing in Japan, knocking out Jin Sasaki in the 5th round in highlight reel fashion to bolster his profile after previously venturing to the home arena of Giovanni Santillan in San Diego to knock him out last year. Norman intends to enjoy the win for a few days and then get back to work. His manager, Jolene Mazzone, told Boxing Scene earlier this week.
And you know, he keep making these references back to the penitentiary, where some things that if you've really been in the penitentiary, you just don't bring up. The alien still seems to think that he can highlight that and somehow give off the image that he's doing something for the people.
Devin Haney posted a unanimous decision victory over former unified 140-pound champion Jose Ramirez May 2nd in New York's Times Square in the comeback bout from his 3-knockdown loss to Ryan Garcia in April 2024. That was later changed to a no contest following Garcia's 3 positive tests for the banned PED Ostarine. Haney, 32, was subjected to criticism for an evasive showing with few punches against Ramirez, but he and his father have responded to that by pressing for big bouts that seem far more certain to entertain. A planned August 16th welterweight bout in Saudi Arabia at 145 pounds with current World Boxing Organization 140-pound champion Lopez fell apart in the 11th hour as Lopez balked, and now Haney's pursuing a young champion in Norman whose left hook disposal of Sasaki caught the sport's full attention. You had one hell of a hellacious knockout down there in Japan against a formidable and game opponent, but you guys lived off social media against Boots Ennis and you were looking for him. Devin didn't like that energy, so now that you've been disappointed by Boots, we've got to fight, Bill Haney said. Norman would be getting everything he could want and ask for. If not, then shut up and get out of our way. Haney declined to say who would fund the bout after earlier mentioning the interest of Saudi Arabia boxing financier Turki Al Sheikh.
Press conference that Todd Grissom was one-sided and he didn't describe Devin the way that he was supposed to describe him, as the youngest undisputed champion and with the legacy, number 9 on the pound-for-pound list, with not only just...
When you've got Devin, you've got the fight. It's big. Do you want it or not? Bill Haney said. His daddy trainer Brian Norman Sr. said Norman Jr. should have got $2 million, and he said he speaks for his son. I said, okay, we can get the $2 million. Sign on the dotted line. The elder Haney earlier Tuesday tweeted to Norman, same deal you wanted for Boots. Will you take for the dream? Haney said his former unified lightweight champion son's hit list is like nothing you've ever seen before. Now comes the hard work of pressing for a deal to become reality. Another opponent in Haney's mind after Brian Norman Jr. would be Richard Hitchens. Bill Haney has known Richardson Hitchens for an incredibly long time, but he wanted to get a closer look at him.
The thing is that I did no matter what the color, no matter what the side, when the man is down, it's hard for me to kick him. You know what I mean? I like for him to get back to being who Keyshawn is, the decorated amateur fighter, the fighter that's fighting for his family, the fighter that's.
Last weekend at the theater at Madison Square Garden in New York City, Haney grabbed himself a ringside seat to see Hitchens and George Kambosos get it on. After watching his son share 24 rounds with the Australian, Haney has always respected the former unified champ. But that respect didn't transfer over to Hitchens once he went out there and dominated Kambosos. Once Kambosos fell to his knees and screamed "No mas" in the 8th, Haney grabbed his things and left with his entourage.
I've been looking for you.
So what we gonna do? We gonna do that 47.
Don't you start stuttering. Don't you start stuttering.
47, but y'all don't got a belt. And Devin said he can stay with 140.
Don't put your hands on me because
Devin's
gonna be upset.
Although he quickly headed for the exit, he took the time to give some not-so-pleasant feedback on how Hitchens looked out there. Richardson Hitchens is not Devin Haney, Bill Haney told The Ring. He's definitely not Devin Haney. He got hit a whole lot. During the 2 fights they shared, Devin barely had a scratch on him. But in terms of closing the show, he was never quite able to. Now when it comes to gamesmanship, Hitchens has the slight upper hand.
And Oscar De La Hoya, everybody out. Gennady Golovkin sued you in. Ryan Garcia threatened to sue you in. I don't need to sit down with you about nothing. I see you doing a lot of tweeting.
Still, according to Haney, everyone needs to calm down. From his New York suite in a Manhattan hotel, Haney can hear the singing from his window. The boxing world is praising Hitchens for his performance, some even going as far as to call him the next big thing. None of it, from Haney's point of view, is true. He likes to operate in reality and facts. And the way he sees it, Hitchens simply went out there and did what was expected. Nothing more, nothing less. He did what he was supposed to do. Comments. And that's all for now. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications to get notified when we drop quality contents like this. Until next time, peace out.